What's up, man? So what's your name? Where you from?
My name's Nick Savage. I'm out here in Sacramento, California, originally from San Jose, California, in the Bay Area.
That's what's up. Savage, man. You ever listen to Savage Nation?
There's all kinds of savages.
Savage Nation is an AM talk show, man. He talks about like aliens and stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he talks about all kinds of crazy things, man. Has crazy spooks that come on his show sometimes. Well, they might be telling the truth, but some of them they just sound like they're just fabricating their abductions and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Ground Zero too. You should look into it, man. It's pretty cool stuff. But damn, man, you got a hell of a background.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I've been putting it together. When you're not doing dope anymore and all that stuff, you got to put your hobby somewhere.
Somewhere
So,
else, man. I know
yeah.
that. I know that. I know how exactly what you mean, man. So you say you do a little bit, or used to do a little bit of YouTube or something?
Oh yeah, I'm actually still doing YouTube. I've been doing it for years and years, but I fell off for a long time, and I just recently started back up in the last like 6 months. So it's a lot of gaming related stuff. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody wants to check it out, the Game Zombie, just under YouTube, the Game Zombie.
Game Zombie. All right, man. I'm gonna put the link in the. I'll pin his YouTube in the comment section below. But you said you had a pretty wild story. From what you told me, it sounded pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I definitely got a lot of them, but this by far takes the cake. So I pretty much was locked up, throughout my whole entire teenage years, from like 15 all the way to 18, just in and out of juvenile hall. And you know how it is when you're locked up that long. You establish relationships. And one of my good homeboys, I was in and out with for the longest time, and I actually found out that we were in the same group home down in Arizona. We grew up like in the same neighborhood in San Jose, but just different times. He was like a year older than me, and so immediately we just hit it off. And when we got out, we were kicking it, and then he got locked up. We went to the pen, and or county jail, not the pen, and got out. We lost touch, and then we met up again, and I was going through it, so I ended up staying with him. But this homeboy ended up killing a cop.
Damn. Hang on one second before we get into dive into that. How was county jail? What county were you in?
Placer. So it's right outside of Sacramento. It's like a suburb of Sacramento.
Okay. How was that?
We call out here, we call it Camp Snoopy. You know what I'm saying? Because since it's the suburbs, it's like very, very. It's a wealthy county, and so there's a lot of like blue collar crimes out there. Like all the real criminals are in Sac.
Yeah.
Like out here, it's just a lot of like drug addicts and stuff like that. But it was chill, man. I was always in the barracks, and what the barracks out here is like a low level, like a trustee area. So to be in the barracks, you got to work, and so it's a big old dormitory. But it actually started getting crazy a couple years ago. The laws passed where a lot of convicts were getting out of prison, and they were able to do a lot of their time in county. So you had like all the politics kind of shifted. You know what I'm saying? Because politics weren't really heavily enforced in the county as much as they were until all those convicts got in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they were
So
probably trying to get them. Either the prison was overcrowded, or they were trying to do some kind of program to get them ready back for the streets a little bit.
well,
They
there was cat. Oh, go ahead.
they kind of do something like that over here, where they'll send people that are in prison. They'll send them to the city jail like a lot earlier than they're released, probably about 9 months earlier, just so they can get used to being around in the area and stuff like that, and do programs and stuff. So I don't know why they might have done it over there. It's just something they might do over here though. Usually,
Well, there was cats in there doing like 2 years, like back to back, like consecutive 2 years in the county, and they were going crazy. I mean, they were trying to, they were going extra, trying to get sent back to the pen because they were, county, either the cell living or even the barracks is whack. You don't have half the stuff you do in the pen. So,
yeah.
but yeah, it was chill. Like, I've done a little bit of time in Sac County. It's completely different out there in Sac, man. Like they go a lot harder in Sac than Placer.
So did you have to run up in some kind of car or anything? Maybe you had to run with the white dudes.
Yeah, always. I mean, that's how it is out here in California. Like we don't like. Even I was locked up with a couple homeboys, and didn't even talk to them in passing, and they knew what time it was. And you just got to play that politic game. don't spread with them, don't chill with them, don't share nothing with them, don't speak to them unless it's like, business time. So,
So it's really like that. Like you really can't even talk to a black dude if you wanted to.
and even if like you're trying to say what's up, like even if like depending on who's, in your area, like in your unit, if an OG is watching you and you even look at somebody for too long or nod at them, if like if you the other people don't know you, it could be on site, you get checked real quick.
That's crazy, man. Because like I said, I'm sure you've heard in my videos. I was in the mix with all kinds of races. The politics ain't nothing like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I still trip out every time I hear it. Like obviously it's true, but it's like a completely different world. It's almost like an alien, world because it's just like I would never even think about that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like never.
Yeah, that's
Especially like spreading, sharing anything. It's just
spreading. You
like
mean when you say spreading, you're talking about making spreads like
yeah,
food.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
making a spread. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
wild, man.
yeah, I mean, I've seen people like starving, you know what I'm saying? They refuse to eat, their jail food. And, they might even have a homie that they grew up in the same neighborhood and he's living large, you know what I'm saying? He's got soups and all kinds of, canteen. Can't even touch it, it's messed up.
That's wild, man. You know what I mean? I don't know what I'd do because I ain't gonna lie, man. Most of my homeboys in penitentiary that I kicked it with, played cards with, they were black. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Uh,
yeah, we're out here in California, so, everybody, a lot of Hispanics are out here, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Mexico's, right here. And Southerners run the prison system. You know what I'm saying? So politics are just crazy out here, man.
yeah, it's crazy. What would you say the whites were outnumbered quite a bit in there?
I mean, yeah, for sure. What's crazy is that, like I said, Placer County is a suburb of Sacramento, so Sacramento's a little different as far as race goes. Definitely, blacks maintain, the biggest population. You got like some skins. They call them sack maniacs out here. You got some peckerwood stuff like that. But definitely, blacks and Mexicans are the majority in Sac, and then in Placer County, it's whites and Mexicans with blacks being the minority. They're at the smallest numbers.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, maybe we'll dive into these politics and stuff later on down the road. But you do have a crazy story. So you said your friend killed a cop.
Yeah, man, actually a CHP. So this is a kind of a long story, but I'm gonna try to take you back to like I said. So we were in juvenile hall together when I was like I want to say 15, 16, and we instantly just kicked it off. We started talking, and like I said, I found out that he was from the same hood. That I actually was in a group home in Arizona. I got some trouble out there in Phoenix, and he was in the same exact group home that I was like 3 years before me. So we kept like missing each other, you know what I'm saying? But we were pretty much doing the same stuff at the same, area or in the same area. And so we kicked it off and we started hanging out when we got out, he'd hit me up or I'd hit him up. We started, doing some dirt together and, all that business, just stupid stuff. But he ended up getting locked up and he was in county for like a year and we kind of lost touch. And so he got out. And coincidentally, my cousin had just got out of Soledad, which is a prison out here. And we all I was the only one that hadn't been locked up in like a year, So I was kind of like, not babysitting, but like trying to get them, on the straight and narrow. And coincidentally, they started doing really good and I started slipping. And so I was living with my mom at the time. I had just turned 18. And I was like, I remember I got in trouble because I kept bringing girls home, and my mom took the door off my room and took my mattress out the room. So I
Hey,
could, so I'd bring girls home, and they'd be like, "What is this?" But I still tried. She eventually ended up kicking me out. So I started living with my homeboy, who had just gotten out of jail. But me, my cousin, and him were like thick as thieves. We were like the three amigos, Like we were spreading, we were doing all that stuff outside because they were still in that mindset, playing, spades and all that.
yeah.
But he was always had a problem with meth. He was a dope head. And I dabbled, but I never, that wasn't my thing. I used to smoke a lot of weed. I wasn't like big on like, the amphetamines. It wasn't my thing. And so we kind of started to split apart. You know, he was always doped out, and this dude, man, like he could sell like sand, you know, to somebody on the beach. You know, like he was just that type of dude that was always on it. You know, even when he was doped out, people liked him. So he you know, he was doing his own thing. I was doing my thing, and I'll never forget it. Like when he was really spun out, because I used to sleep on in the upstairs room on the couch. He was so doped out. One night I woke up and he was just standing over me. You know, I don't know if you've ever woken up, you know, with somebody standing over you. It's terrifying. You know,
Yeah.
like your heart's, you know, beating. You're like, what's going on? And later on, I found out he thought I had stolen his sack, and he was plotting to kill me. He had a knife, and he was like thinking it, like, you know, playing it out in his head, ready to murder me for a sack that I didn't take, you know. But I found this out later through another homie who heard the story. So that's how bad he was, just on a sick one, you know. He was just, you know, too far gone. And so we went our, you know, I was still living with him, and we were kind of, you know, living separately but in the same house. And then he started dating some chick, and this chick used to come around, and she had a little friend that used to hang out all the time, you know, and she would just be like chilling on the couch, and I ended up hooking up with her, and this chick ended up being my first baby's mama.
Okay.
So like, I have a lot of memories, you know, tied to this dude. Like my son wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for this dude. And like I said, he put a roof over my head, you know, when I was slipping and all this stuff. But he was just on such a sick one. I couldn't kick it with him anymore, you know, because that wasn't my style. He was like, you know, pulling a lot of licks, you know. He was that prankster gangster. He was running up in people's garages and stealing, you know, lawnmowers and selling them, and just janky stuff that I wasn't down with. And I didn't have a cell phone at the time, but my mom, everybody had my mom's number, so I would go check in with her every now and then. And I went over to her place, and she was like, you know, so and so, I don't want to say his name.
You're good. You're good.
You know, you've gotten a bunch of missed calls. You know, I don't know what's going on, but like, you know, your friend has been, you know, leaving. I'm trying to think if I should just like say like a random name.
Go ahead. Let's name him Bobby.
Bobby. Okay.
Bobby's popular on this channel. Little Bobby. We'll say his name, Little Bobby. All right, go ahead.
Well, Bobby. So Bobby's been, you know, blowing up my phone. You know, he's frantic. He sounds like something's wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I call him up, and he's like, hey, man, I need to meet up with you, like, ASAP. You know, I don't, you know, he sounded terrified, you know, and he was like, I just need to, like, get myself out of here. I need to go somewhere. And I'm like, all right, man, like, let's meet up at the mall or whatever. And so we met up at the mall, and he was just like totally just gacked out of his mind, just spun, you know, like he had been up for like a week. But we just like went shopping, and he said that he was gonna, you know, get out of here, that he was sick of the city and he wanted to, you know, get out of California. And I was just thought he was, you know, just having a bad trip, you know, like, and we kind of just kicked it for a little bit. And that was it. And then I ended up going back home with my girl, because I was like transitioning back to my mom's house at the time, just because my buddy was, you know, so far gone. I just couldn't hang with him anymore. And all over the news, there was, you know, reports of a CHP getting murdered. And like, when a cop gets killed, man, I mean, it's all over the place. You know, there's APBs, there's, you know, at the time they didn't really have like Amber Alerts, but like, you know, people were, you know, checking everything, you know. And the sketch came up, and it looked almost exactly like with Bobby, you know. And coincidentally, right after that news story ran, my cousin hit me up, and he was like, hey, have you been watching the news? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, doesn't that look exactly like Bobby? And I was like, yeah, it does a lot, but it can't be, because I just saw Bobby, you know. And I hit him up, and he wasn't answering his phone. And so, you know, I hit up his family, and they said they hadn't heard from him. So I was just like, all right, can't be him, you know. I was just with him. And the next day, I watched the news, and sure enough, it was him. They pulled him out of a hotel room, all spun out. He was with, you know, this little chick that he was seeing on the side. And I guess what happened is that he was just so spun out of his mind, he got pulled over for a routine traffic stop, and he used to roll around with the 357, and he was just on such a sick one that he thought that the cop was, because he was out on on bail because he had just gotten busted like a week prior for dope. And so he thought that, it was a conspiracy, that the cops were going to try to set him up and try to kill him. And he was just that paranoid, delusional tweaker,
So,
mindset.
so they pulled him out the hotel, or he got pulled over.
When he killed the cop, he was out on a rural road and like in the middle of nowhere. And there was only him and the CHP on the road, and the CHP pulled him over. And so, but when he got caught, he was in a hotel room.
Okay, okay.
So
Oh,
he
so
was
he
on the
got
run.
pulled over for the gun.
Well, he got pulled over.
Well, yeah,
just for
but
a
he
routine
had the
traffic
gun on
stop.
him.
Exactly. And
Okay.
I guess before the cop could even say license and registration, Bobby just put one in his dome and just blew his brain out. And so in a panic, in a drug fueled panic. And so he dipped out, and the first person he called was me. He blew up my phone, my mom's phone. And so fast forward to 24 hours later, there's this huge manhunt for him. It's all over the news. Every cop is, looking for this dude. Because, I mean, cops are a gang, like when it comes down to it. And when one of their members gets murdered, they're out for blood. And I'm honestly surprised they took him alive. But 24 hours later, they caught him. It didn't take long. And that's pretty much when everything started getting crazy. The FBI was at my mom's house because it was I forget what you call it. Is it capital murder?
Yeah, it's capital murder. If you don't mind me asking, man, I'm sure if he got called up for this crime, he's probably still in prison, correct?
Yeah, he's on death row currently.
Okay, so why wouldn't you want his name out there? I mean, he's out in prison. Is there a reason?
Yeah, just out of respect for his family, I still am in contact with members of his family, and just out of respect for them, I don't want to be putting his name out there, speaking on it.
Okay, I understand. Well, I'm sure more than likely someone might figure out. I mean, it ain't too.
Yeah, that's on them. I mean, Google it.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's just for my own
I got
peace.
you, man. I got you for your own conscience.
Exactly.
I got you, man. All right, henceforth with the story.
So
The,
yeah, so he killed this CHP officer in cold blood, and all of a sudden, because he had called me and they could check the towers, and see who his last known calls were, all of a sudden cops were just down my throat. They were investigating me. Came to my mom's work, was interrogating her, interrogating my neighbors, because I was living with him, their neighbors, trying to check all like my references, my jobs, anybody I had contact with in the last like year up to that point was getting interviewed, and they were actually trying to get me for accomplice because they said that I had knowledge and I didn't go to the cops. Because they actually went to the mall where we met up and they checked the security cameras and they saw me with him not even like 2 hours after the murder. And so, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been investigated. I know that your story is similar, but accomplice to murder ain't no joke, especially when a cop is involved. Like they're gonna try to get you for all your worth. So I'm tripping out, and I'm not gonna roll over on my homeboy, but I didn't have any information to give, so it was tripping me out even more. Because I mean, as are aware, false confessions is a real thing, and I'm not trying to, nobody's gonna pressure me into admitting something that I didn't do. But the local cops and state cops are one thing, but the FBI is a completely different beast, And so, I
yeah.
was just getting interviewed left, and right, and they actually subpoenaed me when his trial started. But thank God, because I couldn't imagine sitting up in court, looking at my homie and, having to speak on it at all. Whether I had information or not, I just couldn't imagine doing that. And the day I had to show up, obviously, if you don't, it's a whole nother charge. His girlfriend, or the chick that he was seeing on the side, rolled over on him hard and copped a plea. So I showed up at the courthouse. And when the bailiff or the guards are, running the metal detector, they're like, they check my paperwork and they're like, oh no, dude, you're good. Like you don't need to be here. Like we already got everything we need. And
Was she with him when it happened?
so she wasn't with him. She picked. her up right after. Like he was on his way to pick her up when he got pulled over. And so afterwards, he picked her up, dropped her off, I think at a hotel or somewhere, and then met up with me.
So
And
so they hit her up with some charges because he told her.
yeah, so she was when he got caught in the hotel the next day. He was with her, so she was with him pretty much the whole time afterwards, and before. And so they were pressuring her, and she was looking at life, and she copped a plea and ended up only doing I think a year in like a rehab or something ridiculous. But the craziest part to this story is there was a third dude involved, and supposedly this is all speculation, hearsay, supposedly this dude supplied Bobby with the gun, and rumor is that Bobby stole it. That dude didn't supply him with anything, but this dude ended up going down and is currently serving a life sentence too. And he didn't. I mean, dude, can you imagine if somebody stole your gun and killed somebody with it, and now all of a sudden you're doing life?
So it was a registered gun?
It was a registered gun, and the chick rolled over on obviously Bobby, but tried to say that dude supplied him with the gun for a hit. And the story is, and this is a crazy story, I couldn't see this happening in a million years, dude. My homie just wasn't like this. Even doped out of his mind, he's not an assassin. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so the story is that dude had his wife was cheating on him with some dude. And remember how I told you earlier that Bobby had gotten bailed out? Well, dude put up his money to get bail. And so Bobby owed him a favor. And so homeboy was like, hey, there's this dude messing with my wife, can you take care of him? And so supposedly that's why Bobby had the gun in the first place. But I as soon as I heard it, I didn't believe it. There's no way, man. There's no way. But this chick, that's the only evidence they had on this other dude. They didn't have anything else other than this chick's statement, and he got life for it.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you guys Google it, I'm sure, like I said, it's not hard to figure stuff out, but there's a bunch of petitions to try to get this dude free. And I mean, even me, I don't believe it. I don't believe it for 1 second, But yeah, man. So I mean, it was just so insane going from somebody like your brother who you're living with, who looked out for you, put a roof over your head, to turning into just a crazy dope addict, to shooting a cop, in the head, man, all for just dope. Basically, I mean that's all it was. Every time he was locked up, dope. He's paranoid, dope. The reason that he was even kicking with these people, they were all dope heads, all tweakers.
You know what? What is crazy, man? They got a conviction on the dude that had the gun, or that owned the gun, by the girl's statement. That was probably the information she got was probably given to her by your homeboy Bobby.
Well, so in her written statement, it says that she overheard them discussing the hit.
Okay.
She was in the bathroom, snorting dope or whatever, and she overheard this. I mean, even if that was true, which I would put money that it's not, some dope heads rambling about, some crazy gibberish when they're all high out of their mind. How could you even, I mean, they were just looking to convict him. They didn't care how they got that conviction, which is unfortunately the case 90% of the time. DA, prosecutors, they don't care. But probably the craziest story, or the part of this story, my girlfriend at the time, who I met through him, told me she was pregnant. And so now, like, every time I think about my son, his memory is tied to, like, Bobby, because if it wasn't for him, my son would never exist, and it's just insane how life is like that. My boy basically lost his life, but yet my son gained his, and it was hard, man. I couldn't even like go visit him, for the longest time, just because I couldn't, just look at him in the face, man. It was just so hard, man. I mean,
so you have visited him?
No, I like written him and stuff like that. But I haven't.
Okay, and I mean, has he given you any kind of input on how he's feeling being on death row?
Yeah, he just full of regret, man. There was actually a small filmmaker who did like a little like 5 or 10 minute independent little movie on him. Um, it's called Letters from Bobby. But yeah, yeah, man. Like he just nothing but regret, you know. Like could you? I mean, you can only imagine being in this like drug like state where like everything like a dream like state induced by drugs, and then all of a sudden you wake up and your whole life is gone. You're in
You're a whole new you're you again, and you're normal, and you're thinking like, what the freaking hell was I doing, man? I've got so many stories that I look back and like, damn, if I wasn't drunk or high on e-pills or something, I would never have done that stuff. You know what I mean? I can only imagine what kind of hell he's living in right now, man. Regretting, man. One thing that is horrible while you're sitting in prison or jail is regret, especially when you're doing a lot of time and you look back, it was just something that happened in a split second. That regret will kill you, man, because you just want to turn back time and just, you know,
you know.
that's horrible.
Well, the crazy thing is too is like all this happened before he was even 21. So I mean, he didn't even get to experience life. You know, he never got to go to a bar. I don't can't remember if he ever went to like a strip club or anything like that. Not that those things are super important, but just based on the fact that he never got to do those, they never will ever. You know, ever, ever, ever. I mean, there. I mean, even if his sentence got commuted, he'd be doing life without the possibility of parole. I think in the state of California, you know, the typical time it takes to execute somebody on death row is like 30 years or something like that. And I wouldn't be surprised with how politics are out here that if they abolish the death penalty, so he very well might, you know, be sitting in the pen for the rest of his life. But it's not like he's going to be in GP. You know, I think the last time I checked, he was on the same block as Scott Pearson, that dude that killed his wife and
Yeah,
unborn child.
I remember that story.
Yeah, so he's out there in San Quentin, you know, on a constant 23-1, you know, and out here I remember just when I was locked up in the county, sometimes you don't even get that one,
Yeah,
you know. So, you know, sometimes you're sitting in a cell 48, 72 hours.
just
Just
depends
going.
on who's working. Like I just told a story yesterday. I was sitting in the hole for quite a long time, and sometimes it go 3 days without a shower. I would have to shower in my sink,
Yep.
and it'll be winter time and the water's freezing. There ain't no hot water on the sink in the hole.
Yep.
But how's his parents feeling about it? They messed up.
So here's the thing, which is crazy, and I had heard stories before this, but I didn't, you know if it was true or not. His dad was actually a police officer. His dad was a cop out in the Bay Area and actually became a dirty cop and was robbing banks. And he ended up getting investigated, and they actually were, you know, investigating him and caught him in the act, and he ended up committing suicide in his car in the bank parking lot that he had just robbed. And so it was just his mom, you know, the same person that, you know, she opened up her house to me, you know, raised him, Bobby, and his other brothers by herself. But I think that had a big impact on Bobby because he was the oldest, and so he was actually, you know, old enough to remember all this stuff, and he used to tell me about it, you know.
Yeah, one wrong move change your whole freaking life, man. But I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Oh, anytime. I appreciate you having me,
Hey,
man.
look, if I need to, I got a few more questions, but I'll save it for next time I talk to you about the politics and stuff in jail. Maybe you can answer them for me. But go ahead and tell people one more time your YouTube channel for all my gamers on my channel to go check out, man.
It's called The Game Zombie, and you just punch that into YouTube and it should pop up, man.
Hey, do me a quick little swivel, man. Just a quick little swivel that arcade panel I saw in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
What is that?
that's the main machine, man. It's got like over like 5,000 games on that
Oh,
arcade
really?
machine. And yeah,
This
I
was
built
that
that thing.
Fallout helmet up there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I built that thing myself, man. Hopefully, be able to pass it on to my kids when they get a little older.
The Fallout helmet, you built that?
No, the
What?
arcade machine.
Oh,
The
dang, that's
cabinet.
even crazier. Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it got a PC in there, man. Just right down there, just pull it out and just a little computer in there, dude.
That's crazy, man. What kind of screen is it? What is it, like the old style screens or
No,
what?
it's a flat screen here. I'll get a little closer.
You put man. I need to do that, man. That's a genius idea, man.
There, can you see it?
Oh, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, man, I just cut out the border right there. Yeah, man. I'm like holding my camera here. I'll show you real quick. You don't gotta use this.
And you got the arcade panel literally plugged right into the PC.
Yeah, you see? You see the
Oh, yo, that's cool, man. That's
yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah, it's hollow inside, so you can just toss. That's the guts, the brains of it.
Yeah,
It's just that PC, and then you just hook up all the joysticks and all that other business.
that's wild, dude. That's a good idea, though. I never thought about nothing like that.
Yeah, man, nostalgia, man, because these kids don't even know what it's about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Hanging out at the arcade.
yeah. I know. I'm about to do this. I don't know if you're a fan of Aliens or Predator or not, but
Yeah.
I'm about to get like six of my 6-inch or maybe use my 12-inch figures, and I'm gonna make a scene. To put them in. You know what I mean? Like maybe a jungle or a spaceship scene.
Yeah.
So, and I want to record it so people can, if they can build backgrounds for their figures.
Oh, no shit.
Give it like a whole environment for their figures instead of just put them up in a case. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah, dude. So I'm really thinking about doing that and maybe even selling them, man, for some
Oh,
good
yeah,
money.
man.
Yeah, I know people would buy it, man. I know they would.
Easily,
Yeah,
easily. It's
yeah,
funny that you say that because, like, I just swooped a bunch of those Funko Pops, these Mortal Kombat ones right here.
yeah. I know what you're talking about. I seen them the other day.
Yeah, and I was looking at cases for those, and somebody just for those, not like you're not as dope as you're talking about, but just for the Funko ones, they have kind of like shelves with backgrounds on them, and it said patent pending. So if you do that, you'll probably be one of the first people to do it because they're not even doing it for the Funko ones yet. So if you do that and get some kind of patent on it, man, I bet you can make bread on that.
I know, bro. That'd be insane. I got a lot of crazy ideas, but
We got
I definitely think people would buy that, man.
Well, you got the skill to do it, man. I mean, you're artistic, so you could definitely pull it off,
Yeah,
man.
I just gotta find the time.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah. You just gotta stop sleeping.
I know that's right. Hey, did you know? I thought about this other day. Uh, that people sleep just a little less than half of their whole life.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy, man.
I think I heard it on a podcast or a radio or something a couple days ago.
Yeah, you're sleeping just about half of your life away, man. And I never,
Yep.
it makes sense when you think about it, but it kind of shocks you, man.
Well, that's why they say to invest in a good bed
Yeah.
because you spend so much time in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, that's nuts. Can
Yeah.
you imagine all the stuff you can get done if you didn't sleep that much, man?
I mean, you could learn double the amount that you learned throughout your whole life.
Make double the money.
Double the money.
That's
Shoot.
what I'm thinking about.
Well, yeah, man, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm sure it's a pretty long one, but I appreciate you coming on here once again, man, and stay in touch. And hopefully this will send some traffic your way as well on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, man.
You
definitely.
don't do Twitch or nothing?
I do, but I'm not big on it. I mean, people the same thing. It's the Game Zombie, and you can find a link to all my social media, my Twitch, my Facebook, my Insta, all that stuff on my actual YouTube page. If you're in the About Me section, so if you guys are into gaming stuff like that, check it out. I cover like a lot of fighting games, like a lot of Mortal Kombat stuff.
You ready for the new one, huh?
Oh man, I've
It
been
looks
ready.
nice.
Yeah, I've been ready, man.
Looks nice, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's up, man. I appreciate you once again, and if you ever hear from your homeboy, man, hopefully he's doing all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Congratulations on everything too, and the kid coming your way too, man. Nothing but blessings on your family for
Thank
sure.
you, man, and likewise to you as well. And just keep your head on straight, stay out, stay free, and enjoy life, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Be easy, man.
All right, you too, man.